Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, six-time world champ, two-time WWE Hall of Famer, here with special guest Athena, formerly known as Trouble, now Ember Moon. I tell you, did you ever think this was going to happen? Did you ever see this as far as starting in one spot and then, I wouldn't say overnight or anything, making it, so far?
To be honest, it's the only thing I wanted to do, since I was, a little kid.
Yeah.
That's it. I wanted to be a wrestler because at that time I was getting bullied so bad and, being thrown in lockers, believe it or not. It was the generic bullying situation from the 90s on, any TV show, you name it. I've done it, the swirlies, all of it. And I remember watching, wrestling and seeing these, you and everyone else, that could speak for themselves and not be afraid to embrace their own opinion and let the world know. And I was like, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be able to talk and say what I need to say and do what I want to do and back it up. And then I became a wrestler, which is a whole nother beast of things, that got lost in translation. I just fell in love with it. And it was one of those things that, I remember, WWE was always my end goal. That was, my forever job. That's the dream. That's where I want to be. And I remember, finally getting signed after a decade, after 4 tryouts of just hell. And I just was like, oh man, this is great. And then now it's a whole nother list of goals. It was kind of like that.
And a list of problems, a whole lot of list of problems too.
True.
Because the thing is, you never, understand it until you actually, get there, until you actually see it with your own eyes. I remember when I was working in the Global Wrestling Federation, I was getting paid $100. I'd go out and work 3, sometimes 4 times a night. It's fun, and I'd come back and I worked my regular job all week, and it was cool, I was having fun. And then I got to WCW, and it became a job. It became real, and it totally changed. All of the fun left it. What about you? Is it somewhat similar, or are you still having fun?
It's weird because wrestling's the only thing I've ever done for myself. I've played soccer for years, but wrestling was the first thing without parental guidance that I did for myself. So it's very special to me, and I never want it to not be fun. Does it get frustrating at times? Of course, naturally. We work for the biggest company in the world, and we have the biggest roster in the world now. It's crazy, So, I mean, it gets frustrating, but I never lose the love for it, if that makes sense. It really does. And I mean, there are times where I'll sit down and be like, why do I do this? It's stupid. And then I just sit back and I'm just like, you know what? It doesn't matter how frustrated you get sometimes, because everyone has bad days, crappy jobs sometimes. Not saying my job is crappy, because I do love it, but you sit back and it's like, man, I've done so much with, and half the stuff I don't remember till someone brings it up. But I've done so much. Why wouldn't I be happy with the journey and everything that I've done? But as soon as I get in that ring, the music hits. It's just falling in love all over again.
People ask me all the time. People come to the gym here. They say, hey, man, this is awesome, man. You got to be proud of yourself. And and I said, man, I never really think like that. I'm like, man, we still got so much more work, to do. We got so many more goals we still yet trying to fulfill. Being in that locker room, though, you was talking about, and there's so many guys and so many girls out there trying to come up, and you can't get lost in the shuffle. How frustrating is that? And, how hard is it to actually break out in 2020 in a company like WWE?
It's hard. It really is. I feel like there's more and less opportunity. I feel like we as women, and I'm only speaking from the women's half because that's the only side that I can speak of, because I'm in that locker room. It's weird because we're in the middle of this revolution. And a lot of people thought it ended at evolution, but, we still fight every day for everything. And, it's a weird, combination of being frustrated and being lost in the shuffle. Do you get jealous? Yeah. Who doesn't? Do you get angry? Yes, of course. Who doesn't? Sometimes you're not happy with the writing. Sometimes you just go out there and you're like, well, this putting food on the table, it's paying the bills. There are days that you have that, you know? Man, I feel like, it's frustrating. And I've been lost in the shuffle. I think the hardest thing is to walk in the locker room and know your worth as a talent and know your worth as a performer and entertainer. and then sit in catering for like 2 months.
Yeah,
you know,
waiting on your turn.
Exactly.
Waiting on your turn.
Exactly.
And I think that has a lot to do with it because it is such a huge company, and it is so many guys trying to get that spot. There's so many girls trying to get that spot. And the thing is, it's always been like that. This is not anything new or anything like that. My time coming up, I always, saw those 5 guys, and man, there was a lot of gravy shared between those 5 guys, and I say, man, how do I become one of those 5 guys? Yeah. And I tried to, make sure I performed at a certain level to get to that spot as well as sometimes you win by attrition.
Yeah, and that's basically what I go into every match, and like, do I win all of them? No.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that I go in, it's like, what can I do in this match that people are going to say, man, Ember Moon.
Yeah,
whether I win or lose or take a move super crazy outside, like, I want people to at least say my name at the end of every match that I'm in. Yeah. And I always try to do something crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
and my thing was, like I said, you gotta put yourself in that position to make it happen. Even for me as a heel, I would go out and lose every match, and I would let the baby faces leave, and then I'll get up and I'll raise my hand. My brother and I would raise our hand like we won. So you gotta make the fans.
You gotta do something that year for me across the board. Like, I started off like I hurt my elbow like the week before Rumble, and so basically, is it because of the style?
Maybe.
No, like, so I think it's because I've gone so long in my career, and like, for those that don't know, like, this is me working on year 14 right now.
Yeah.
Like, and I did a lot of dumb stuff when I was younger, and like, it's stuff that people are like, you shouldn't do that, and I'm like, nah, it's fine. And now I'm like, all of that's catching up now. Like, I did thumbtacks, jumped off ladders, scaffold, but that wasn't like once every now and then. That was 2-3 times a month I was doing these things, and driving 6-7 hours to the next show, going and do that. So I think because I was operating at a weird type of hardcore-esque situation, that like, it's catching up with me. So like, literally someone, like, I remember like someone grabbed my arm and just pulled me, and I felt something pop in my elbow, and I was like, what happened? But didn't know after I did that entire Rumble in Arizona on one arm, and I stood there for an hour on one arm. Man. And literally I had them tape it shut. They were trying to get me to do x-rays and stuff before the match, and I just sat there and I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I knew... It's weird because, like, I feel like coming from the indies, I have a different mindset when it comes to wrestling. Like, I love wrestling. I love the storytelling of what we do. And for me to have, like, when I was at NXT and had my moment coming into the Rumble, and just sitting there and just being like, whoa, this is the greatest thing ever, and everyone was so giving, like, hey, do this, hey, do this, hey, do this, and then I was kind of put in that position where there were a whole bunch of people coming up from NXT, and I'm not going to say names because I feel like that's not cool, but there were a whole bunch of people that were very tired because we were doing one of those crazy appearance weeks and stuff like that. We'd all been going since like 4 or 5 in the morning, and people got frustrated and angry and didn't want to work. So it'd be like, okay, this person's coming in next. I'm like, all right, girl, what do you want to do? And literally, that's how that Rumble went. I was just like, well, I know I can't lift anyone, but like, I'm going to help everyone out and give them their moment.
I tell you, having those moments is one thing, but for me, I was never the John Wayne type. John Wayne mean, barrel, suck it up, go out there, take one for the team. When I got hurt, I was saying, somebody call an ambulance. You know what I mean? Somebody get me out of here right now. Why? I mean, why? Why do you think it is so many, young people of this era got that mentality? When wrestling back in my day was, we're gonna go out here and entertain. We got 300 days to do it, but I'm gonna make sure you don't get hurt, and I need you to make sure I don't get hurt. What happened to those days? Because right now I see caution thrown to the wind and all kind of just crazy stuff being done.
I think so. Like, just across the board, independents, TV and all, like wrestling's going through a very like weird time right now, just across the board. Like where at first it was about like, hey man, let's make sure we make it to the next town. We get to TVs, all right, you good, I'm good. We're gonna do like we're gonna work light tonight, like we good. There used to be that, and I think because like, and here's the thing, I've been there, I've done that. I've been at the point where like I'm like, okay, it's live show. Like we're coming off 2-3 weeks in the UK, and then like it's like, hey man, we're gonna go out there and just take care of each other, and then you get to TVs and you're like, like I've been there and I've done that. I think now I think wrestling is getting to that weird point where that realism is coming back so much with UFC and MMA and everybody that it's affecting us as well, because that's what we do. We trick you into thinking what we do is real. Like technically the contact is real.
Suspend your imagination.
The contact is real. Like I'll just tell you 100% what I do is absolutely real. I make contact, I get hit, I get bruises, I get beat up, I get hurt.
Definitely.
The only difference is predetermined. That's it.
Definitely.
But like with that being said, like it's just a weird time right now where everyone is like, you can see it across every match. If you watch like a Raw or a SmackDown, you can see the people that are all right, hey, I'm jet lagged, I'm tired, and then you have the two that are like, hey man, we got here this morning, we're great, let's go. Like, and those are always the two that you look and be like, you doing way too much right now, brother. I gotta follow up. Could you? Brother, we are in Kentucky. No offense, Kentucky, but we are in Kentucky in the middle of nowhere, and they're all like, and I'm like, oh yeah.
But that's the way it is. I mean, I see the difference, the way it was and the way it is, and I think it did go through a transition because young fans. What's the guy named Colt Cabana? I was listening to him talk one day, and I was asking him the same question, and he was telling me that man, you got to understand, when I was a kid, I got a chance to watch ECW. And then when ECW went away, then guys like myself got into wrestling. We felt like we had to take it to another level, even higher than ECW. And I would go, wow, you know what I mean? So, and I just see, a lot of, like I said, a lot of moves out there being done. And I think the storytelling has gone away a lot.
Like, so I think because of this weird time and this weird transition, like, it's gone from, like, when I grew up, everybody had a story. Everyone that was on TV felt important, whether you were at the beginning of the show,
as well as they worked from a storytelling perspective.
Exactly. And so, like, but I mean, from beginning to end, built across the board, like, kind of that weird attitude era, post-attitude era invasion stuff, like it was about the storytelling from beginning to end, whether it was like Crash Holly walking out with the freaking thing, like even if it was just that he weighed in or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that meant something and you were invested in that. And I think now it's weird because we only have like 4 guys each show that we're constantly building up, despite like everyone else, like, and like occasionally they'll bring an Umberto in or like, all right, now Andrade's turn, like, but you only see one new person in that little angle and then they disappear for a while. It's one of those things that, like, with the storytelling, with them building not just those 4 or 5 people, and that goes for the girls as well, like building these like a Tozawa or a Gulak. And so when they do face like a Roman or a Bray Wyatt or something like that, it means something when they lose versus them just going out and having a banger of a match on Raw for no reason.
Totally. I remember, case in point, I remember having one of my best matches with Hurricane Helms. And, and of course, I was built at a certain part of the card, and he was built at a certain part of the card. But when him and I went out and worked together, no one saw anything but 2 guys out there performing. And it was one of my toughest matches, as well.
Why was that a tough match?
It was an awesome match because, even with the size difference and whatnot, the way he was built, I still could go out there and make him shine like new money, opposed to, him not being. What my point is, every guy that came out of the curtain back in the day was a star.
Exactly.
And that one was different, I think.
And now, like, when I feel like I turn on the TV, it's like, all right, well, if I see a Drew McIntyre versus a Cedric Alexander, I don't believe that Cedric Alexander is going to win, even though he is a phenomenal athlete, former cruiserweight champion. I just don't believe it because they haven't done anything to make me care about him.
Exactly.
He jumped off the stage once, and like, I just feel like with the roster being so big, like maybe we need like a rotating roster or something like that, because I feel like we've lost that ability to tell those stories in the lower card.
I look at a guy like Cedric Alexander, man. The first thing I think about is, man, this guy needs to come to reality of wrestling.
But you got me here.
No, but I can really teach this guy. I mean, he's got so much talent.
Oh.
When I look at Cedric Alexander, I say, man, this guy, he's mega talented. He's extraordinary when it comes to going out there and being able to literally almost defy gravity, and he can suspend his body almost for a half of a second, and almost levitate. That's how good this guy is. But when I look at Cedric Alexander, I always wish I could just see him in a fight. And I wonder, has he ever been a kid on the playground in a fight, with another kid on the playground?
Well,
I need to get some dirt on that kid.
Look, man, like I will say this. I've seen him in a fight. I've seen him in what you want to see at a different company on a different TV show.
I'm just saying,
and he's capable of that. That's
okay,
all I'm. That's all I'm.
But I tell you what, as far as being off, the time off, I have a saying, time off is one's worst enemy. Being away from the action, people can actually, minds just totally, totally forget about you. How do you actually feel a certain way about being off? Are you enjoying the time? Are you anxious to get back? Or what? I'm gonna tell you, and the reason I say that is because I had a knee injury. I had my knee scoped, and I was supposed to take 3 to 6 months to come back from that surgery. And I was supposed to have done some severe rehab, you know what I mean? I was supposed to got in, and supposed to went down and let them work with me and whatnot. And I was like, man, I got to get back to work. I mean, I was like, man, I'm missing the action. And I forego all the, what they're supposed to work on me and all. I said, man, I'll do it myself. I got in the gym. I'm doing a leg extension, leg press and whatnot. I went back to work.
You got hurt again.
And I got hurt again.
You got hurt again.
I got hurt again. I did. But I was anxious. I was so anxious to get back. What about you?
I feel like with my elbow. So, I got hurt in February with my elbow, which is crazy because, we've done work injuries and stuff. So, these are my only 2 injuries that are real that I've had with WWE. I want to clarify that right now because everyone thinks I'm injury prone, and I just want to say everything else was storyline.
She's down.
Everything else was storyline, damn
She's finished.
But literally, after my elbow, it was like, hey, you're going to be out 6 months because I had, it wasn't just a scope. I had defective cartilage. I had bone chips. I had a bone spur. I had a fracture, and I had, 3 torn ligaments, frayed ligaments or something in my elbow.
Need to get cleaned
so they
up.
were like, hey, 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 6 months. So, I got hurt in February, and then they gave me something late May, but maybe make it back for Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
And I remember they called me, and they were like, hey, we're going to move up your doctor's appointment. And I was like, oh, why? And they were like, yeah, we kind of were thinking maybe Mania, maybe the Battle Royal. And I was like, but that's a full, that's early April. And early April versus late May. That's a big difference.
Yeah, but it's Mania too.
Yeah, it's Mania. Yeah. So and I'm like, well, I've never been in WrestleMania. The fangirl of me. Yeah. Oh, it's WrestleMania.
I gotta get in. I gotta get back.
Yeah. So I contact my. Basically, I rush back. And then they didn't do anything with me till Money in the Bank anyway. Oh, so it's just And then it was this weird time frame because I came back and they were like, yeah, we're trying to get you cleared for the draft. And then I was like, well, and then they were like, well, maybe Mania. I was like, so I came back and I'm thankful that I did sit out that time, even though it was frustrating and angering and stuff like that, because I needed the extra month and a half to get ready. I consider myself a little bit of a daredevil. I like to take risks. You've seen it, Yeah,
you definitely need to prepare for that.
But with the time off, I was so anxious to get back from this that I just realized it was man, I got to do Mania. And with an Achilles rupture and the type of rupture that I did, they were telling me anywhere from 4 months to a year and a half. So it's just it's one of those injuries. And I talked to Beth a little bit. Edge sent his regards and everything, and said if I need any help, or anything, which is really cool because I'm a big fan of Beth Phoenix and Edge. So it's weird because I don't want to rush back from this because of the likelihood of re-rupture. Yeah. And it's not a normal rupture, which rupture is torn in half, but I also stripped it off the bone too. Yeah. So would just cracked his in half. I royally messed it up, you know. Yeah. So it's
and
weird.
How'd that happen?
I don't want to talk about that. It was
almost like slipping on a banana peel.
It's
that's one of those type of deals.
Sad.
That's the way injuries happen, though. Injuries happen. When it's supposed to be, when you've done something 100 times, or just something very, very simple.
So I know this is gonna hit the dirt sheets. Ready? So we were in San Francisco for a Raw and a SmackDown, and I don't remember if there was a pay-per-view before, but I knew they were but people were on tour or something, and I was not, so they were like, "Hey, Ember," a day before, Saturday night, Sunday morning, "Hey, Ember, can you be at Raw Monday?" And I'm like, "Oh. Well, I guess I'll be there. And I got really excited because I'm like, oh my God, are they doing something with me? They're bringing me to Raw. And I'm like, yes. And so I get there and they're like, yeah, you're working Lacey. Lacey's over. We're doing this thing with her and Natty. And I was like, oh, okay. And I love Lacey Evans. I've known her since day one, the first day that she walked in the PC. And I was like, you know what, let's go, girl. Let's go out there and kill it. And she was just like, yeah, whatever, And it was a really cool moment because it's the first time I got to wrestle her on TV. And I had so much fun. Made it to the hotel, getting ready to do SmackDown the next day. And they were like, hey, Ember, you're in the 24/7 title run because Carmella won the night before. And I was like, oh. It's like, y'all sure? Y'all sure y'all need me for that? What's weird is when you have a bad feeling.
Well, you got
a
feeling. You got a feeling that something happened there.
So I had a feeling, and I was like, ooh, do we? Okay, cool. You know what, team player? Screw it. I got this. I'm in, So we do, and I think all the other girls were wrestling that night. So I think it was Mandy, Sonya, Asuka, Kyrie, maybe. There were only 5 of us doing this run, right? Yeah. And so we're doing the run-throughs, and everyone's nervous because it's West Coast, so we have way less time to prepare for the show, and people are like, I don't have my makeup done. Yeah. And so I just remember, you know what, I'm going to try to make everyone laugh because this is hilarious, and people are just so uptight, and I remember just being like, oh, you know what, I'm going to do a cartwheel round off, flippity-doo-dah, and so
just do something stupid.
And so
but it's easy. It's an easy night. It's a night off.
But people are just laughing. And that's what it was for. And so we get there. So we do the run through. Boom, right? I told Truth, I was like, Truth, you better run. I'm gonna catch you, Truth. If I catch you, I'm tackling you. You're going down. And so when we actually did it, I literally caught them right before we went through the curtain. So they go through the curtain, and they didn't realize how close I was behind them. And I was like, ha ha, so we go through the curtain. As I'm coming through, the curtain shuts. I open it, go through. Truth is dropping Carmella, and I have to hit, it's from me to you, and I'm going full speed. And reaching to, and I had to hit the brakes, and I just was like, whoa, boom, and I felt it pop. It felt like a scratch. If someone just went like this on the back of your heel, wow. And I was like, huh.
Crazy,
And literally I was like, huh, that feels weird.
Yeah.
Get this, though, made it all the way back to Dallas. So we had red eyes that night, and I remember just ooh, that feels a little weird. I went to the airport from the San Francisco arena, and I think it's because I had my wrestling boots on still, my little shooters. I think it was holding it all together. That's because there's no way I should have made it home, but I wasn't in pain. I didn't have any bruising, didn't have any swelling. I made it all the way, landed in Dallas, and I'm getting off the plane. My foot just feels weird. I was like, damn.
Didn't want to work.
I was like, this just, all right, and I can't really put a lot of weight on it and stuff. So anyway, my husband comes and picks me up. We make it to the house, and I just pat, one of those oh my God, this couch, I was out. And I remember, I slept from 7 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. I was so tired and so exhausted.
I know those days.
And I went to get up to use the restroom or something, or food. I don't know. I was tired, and I just fell. And my husband, comes out. He's like, are you okay? It's my foot's not working. And he's like, are you in pain? I said, no, my foot's just not working. I can't put weight on it. I can't walk. And so he's like, all right, come here. And so, I sit down, and I'm just trying to
move it.
And I can
extend it.
I can point it. I can't flex it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I I just don't know. It just doesn't work. He's like, so we went and we took pictures of the back, and then I called WWE and I said, hey, because it freaked me out. Like, and I was like, something is wrong. Like, but I was in no pain, no swelling, no bruising, nothing. Like, which if it's bruised, you tore something. Like, I had none of that.
Yeah.
And so I call one of the doctors. I said, hey, something's wrong. And they're like, what's wrong? I said, my foot isn't like, it was one of those like really sad conversations too, because it's like, I need to go get an MRI, I need to go to an ER, but I wasn't like committed to saying I was hurt. And so it was like,
still no swelling.
Wow. Nothing. And so even I had ice on it, and then I was like, I don't think I need ice, because it's not, I didn't see like it looked the same. Nothing.
Wow.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm talking to them. They're like, all right, well, we'll get you MRI tomorrow morning at this place. Just go. And, so I go to the doctor the next morning, and because they basically thought it was a different tendon, which they're like, oh, you just sit out 3 weeks and you're fine. You can put weight on it. You're not in pain. This is what I think it is, but let's go get an MRI, make sure, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so I'm like, oh, it's only 3 weeks. Da, 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 da. And then I get there, the doctor basically sits me down. He's like, what's wrong? I tell him what's wrong. He goes, how are you walking? And I'm like, I don't know. And so he basically touches the back of my heel. And he goes, oh, yeah, you ruptured your Achilles. Just no MRI, no nothing. And I was like, no.
You got an MRI after, though, right?
Yeah, so I did not believe him, because I talked to them. They had given me the best case scenario here, and like, so, and I'm like, nah, brother, we're gonna do this MRI tonight, blah blah blah. And so he's like, well, I'm getting ready to go, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna need to get an MRI. So I go get the MRI, send it off to WWE, and I mean, they sent me a picture back, and it's clear as day.
Oh wow.
I mean, I am not a medical professional by any means, but look at it, I was like, oh yeah, that's torn. Like, you know what I mean? If you've seen an X-ray, it looks like a foreign language, alien language, But yeah, and it just, like, it all sunk in, and like, it was weird, because I was at a very weird point before I left too. And I just got a phone call from someone saying, yeah, it's your time, we're about to do this, and found this out within 2 hours.
The call probably was the curse.
See?
Yeah.
And it was one of those.
That's normally where that happens. But like I said, that's normally the way it happens. Something very, very simple. I remember I was doing a program. It was just some stupid skit we were doing in Madison Square Garden, and it was The Godfather and a whole bunch of people. They were chasing me. They were chasing me into the back of a limo, and we rehearsed it one time, and I was running kind of like gingerly, and Godfather was chasing me, and he whacked me on the back of the head before I got in the limo. And I was like, that was just a rehearsal. And I'm like, what are you doing? So it was a rib, okay. So I say, okay, when we go live, I'm sprinting. I want to see if he can catch me then.
Oh no!
And boom, they said action, and I took off like the cops was chasing me, right? And I was running so hard, and I got to that limo, boom, and I got in it. And Godfather pulled both hamstrings trying to catch me.
No.
He couldn't. He had to take off weeks off work for months. Literally, that's how bad he was. But I tell you, freak accidents. RVD, same thing. That little back roll that he does, broke his ankle. He's done that move. He's done that move 1,000 times.
Who broke their ankle in WWE doing a baseball slide? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Because I remember seeing that, and I was like, that didn't look.
I remember that too.
Like, his foot, like, he did it 1 billion times, and his foot just got caught.
With the Dolph. What Dolph was it? Neville.
Maybe it was Neville. I remember seeing that, and he does it all the time.
I tell you, it's always the simple stuff. But I tell you, it is what it is. I always take the time and utilize it. Take that time. I realized after that first time.
I am actually enjoying this time around a lot more. Like, I feel like because I was such in a hurry to get back, this I've actually been enjoying. Like, I opened up a school. Like, that's
what I want to talk about. You know what I mean? You call it. When you get injured in the business, you call it a vacation. Okay, that's
off season.
That's what I call it.
It's really off season. When you
but the school, you got the school. Tell me a little bit about that, and tell me more importantly why. You know, I mean, it's hard having a school. I hate having a school.
I've always found joy in showing people stuff. Like, I used to be a gymnastics coach, and then it kind of just fast forwarded to like wrestling, and I fell in love with wrestling, but I was like kind of really good at like showing people stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time at like NXT, I would work with like, you know, they called me the move person.
Coach, yeah.
The move person.
Yeah,
hey, you need a new move? Go
like
talk
Christian,
to Ember. Ember has a billion of them, you know?
Yeah.
And so like I found joy, especially like watching them perform that. When I saw it, I get like so happy. And to this day, I still do.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those, like, it was going to happen eventually. And it kind of just worked out. Someone was looking for a trainer for their school, and I happened to have a little bit of time off.
It took over their school.
And so basically took over the school, very much so. But
hijacked them.
A little bit. But
hey.
I love it, you know? Like, I feel like I'm at a point in my career, especially like with the frustration of not being used on TV, not having character development, not having storyline.
You want to do that with someone else.
You get to the point where you struggle to be passionate because you're struggling to be relevant. And I needed an outlet that wrestling was positive, that kept me involved, so my passion could see through.
Well, I always looked at it like, you know, I try not to look at WWE or AEW or anybody, New Japan or any of those companies. I say, man, that's their stuff. I said they can do whatever they want to do with it. I mean, when it's yours, you can do whatever you. I said, but I'm gonna take reality wrestling, and I can do whatever I want to do with it. You know what I mean? I got my students, I got my storylines, I got the way I want to create things, and it's actually really, really cool. And it gives me that balance to where, man,
it's a creative outlet that's positive and puts like you in that point where you can be passionate
as well as
about
just the way I see it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I actually like looking at wrestling the way I want to see it, and the way I see it is the way a lot of it is the way it used to be. Mm-hmm. You know, so but what's the name of the school?
It's called the Dojo, the Wrestling Dojo.
Dojo. Where is it?
It's in Denton.
How you can get in touch with the fans? How can they get in touch with you?
If you want to get in touch with me, I have an Instagram, WWE_Ember Moon. You can always comment on my pictures, which you guys have no problem doing that because I see them all the time. Twitter at WWE Ember Moon. It is not the same because someone stole my username before I created the Instagram. You jerk.
Should have just got trouble.
You jerk. Well, I'm always too much trouble. But then as well, if you want to be a wrestler in the DFW area, Booker's down in Houston. I'm in DFW.
Yeah.
You can go to thewrestlingdojo.com, but you have to try out because I don't take quitters. And I'm going to put you through hell, but you have to prove to me that you want it.
You got $4,000. I don't care if you quit or not. Okay? Just bring me that money. Hey, man, you backstage with us too, so we're going to be having a lot of fun backstage. But guys, thank you guys for hanging with us. We'll give you more in the weeks and months and years to come. But we'll holler at you later.